Hello out there, it is Jenny and I am coming to you with my second update on the HCG diet. Now, I mentioned in my first video that I made yesterday that I've been doing this for a week, and so I was going to double up on going back over days and talk about them. I realized this morning that in 2 days it'll be 2 weeks. No, tomorrow. It is the last day of the second week. So originally when I realized that, I got incredibly depressed because I thought, gosh, I haven't lost anything. This is not going like it did last time. And I have started and stopped, basically failed this diet probably 4 times in the past year since I was successful the very first time. And I thought, here we go again, another epic fail. Then I sat and I looked at the numbers and I realized that I have lost 6 pounds, legit 6 pounds. Any other diet I would be on, if I would lose 6 pounds in 2 weeks, I would just be ecstatic. It's just that this is the diet that normally drops so much so fast that that 3 pounds in a week is not great. It's kind of where you end up later on in the diet after you've lost a significant amount and you're starting to kind of plateau and not lose that much anymore. But I need to put it back into perspective. 6 pounds is great. I am in much better condition now than I was 2 weeks ago, and that's what I have to keep in mind and remember. Because it's just been 6 pounds in 2 weeks, I do not think, as I said yesterday, that I'm going to end after 3 weeks. I think I'm going to push it to 4. I will not do more than that. And that is because of hair loss on my part. And I'll talk about that on a separate video someday when there's not much to say about how my diet's going. I'll address the whole hair loss thing. But it's real. It's a thing. I don't think it happens to everybody, but it's very real and significant for me with calorie restriction. So even with taking a multivitamin, even with taking the drops to supplement, my body just reacts significantly to not having a caloric intake when it comes to my hair. So again, I'm getting into more details than I even need to. I'll talk about that another time. So what I'm going to do today is recap days now 1 and 2. So the first 2 days are load days. This is the best part of the diet. This actually is what made me say, yeah, I'll try this diet. If part of the diet requires you to eat as much food as you can possibly eat in 2 days, yes. The loading, I've tried doing the diet without the loading, and it's never been recommended, and I really kind of understand why. There's some science behind it, and you know what, I'm going to put a disclaimer in front of all these videos that I post from here on out. I am not a doctor, and I am not giving you any kind of medical recommendation here. So I'll make some sort of little slide to put at the very beginning so that I don't have to remember to say that every time. But this is my personal journey, and I'm just sharing. All right, so all the information I give you is to the best of my knowledge. I am not a scientist. I am not a researcher. I haven't done all the stats and statistics and stuff on HCG. There are videos out there that are extremely complex and detailed by physicians who are explaining, in 2 hours long, the science and details of exactly how HCG is working in your body. I'm going to tell you about my personal experience. Some of these videos are going to be like why I went back to it after other days. And I have a bunch of little tidbits and things I've kind of learned throughout the years in my trying and failing and my very successful first round that I did with it. But again, I'm going to try to table those so that those are discussions that I can have on days where there's not much to say. But there's a lot to say today because days 1 and 2 are load days. Now, load days you are to eat as much as you can. These are the days that you start taking the drops. Now, I'll have another video on drops versus shots. I'm not a shot kind of person. There's something about taking shots that just makes it seem a lot more invasive in the body and like something more that a medical professional should do, in my opinion. Not that there's anything wrong with the shots, but this is my opinion. I have no problem putting some drops underneath my tongue and letting them sit there for 10 minutes and then swallowing them, especially because they don't taste bad. To me, they taste like grape, like a grape Kool-Aid, watered down grape Kool-Aid. So it's fine. They're almost pleasurable if you want something sweet at a given time. Almost pleasurable, but they're not pleasurable. They're just they're just there, whatever. Little grape Kool-Aid. Okay. So I do the drops, and the first 2 days, when you're taking the drops, you're supposed to build this HCG up in your system. And it takes a couple days to do that. So as you're building it up in your system, you are also supposed to be loading. There is a very scientific reason behind doing the loading days and building up those fat stores in your body. They come off really quickly. So just know that your first 4 days on the diet are basically gaining a whole bunch of weight because your body's kind of retaining all that on those first 2 days, and your scale will skyrocket. And then the next 2 days, they basically come off. In my experience with loading days, whatever I gained in the first 2 days, I lost in the next 2 days. That's just been my personal experience. So truly, in terms of weight loss, the diet doesn't begin for me until day number 5. And days 1 and 2 are so much fun. So I haven't always lost all the weight by day 2. Sometimes by day 3, I'm still kind of losing the rest of it, and it's really not day 3, I should say. I haven't always lost it on the 4th day, after the 4th day. Sometimes it's been the 5th. But I did this time, and that's because I decided to load smarter. When you load, you're supposed to be loading your fat stores. And so just hearing in my brain, you can eat anything you want. I went and bought like my favorite desserts and my favorite foods and stopped at McDonald's. And I just went nuts. Every single thing. There's a psychological backing to this also, where if you take 2 days of just eating absolutely everything you want, you kind of get it out of your system a little bit. Because I guarantee, and I did not believe this would happen, I'd said, no, not me, because my biggest problem is I overeat. Way overeat. Again, my entire day is constantly thinking about not eating because I always want to eat. It's not that I'm hungry, it's that I want to eat, if that makes sense to you. My stomach is not growling. My mouth wants the food and enjoys the food, and it makes me happy. So this is a diet that helps me break that bad pattern of habitual eating. Even when I'm in the process of habitual eating, I'm restraining myself from eating more than I think. I get to the point that I'm slightly uncomfortable and I stop. I could keep going because my mouth and my brain wants more. But I stop at that point on normal days when I'm overweight and not doing well. So this is a challenge. This diet is significantly a challenge. But here's the beauty of taking the HCG drops. They curb your appetite. And that is kind of amazing. So what you'll find happens by halfway through and by the end of day 2, is that you still might have a laundry list of things that you were planning on eating that day to get it all out of the way. It's not enjoyable to eat that food anymore. We've all been there a couple times in our lives, right? Where we've gone to Thanksgiving dinner and we've had 3 helpings and then 4 helpings of dessert afterwards, and then like something else comes out because people are sitting around and you look at something that you normally love and you're like, I honestly don't want to eat it. And you're kind of shocked by that feeling. At least I am. Like, what is this feeling? Is this what normal people feel on a daily basis, where they just don't feel like eating food? I don't know. It's a struggle for me. It truly is. And I'm finding many other avenues, and I'll post about those in other videos to help me along the way. But yeah, so load days, I had 2 load days. The second one, I happened to be going to a water park. Now I was going by myself, so it wasn't so horrible. There is nearby Cleveland a amusement park called Cedar Point that's not far from our home. Season tickets to it, and we just got the season tickets for next year, which means we can use them for the remainder of this year and next year. I like those season tickets because it is many times during the summer that puts me outside and in the sun, and I don't tend to eat as much when I'm in kind of that environment. And if I'm not in the water park part, but I'm in the actual amusement park part, I'm doing a lot of walking and just using a lot of muscles. When you're on these massive roller coasters, your body, kind of resists against some of the forces of it, and you feel a little sore in your shoulders and back and stomach at the end of the day. And of course, your legs are always tired as well from a lot of walking around. So it's just a smart kind of exercise plan for me. And I don't tend to eat that much on those days because I refuse to spend a penny on park food. I bring my own food. It's in the car. We walk all the way back out to the car to have our lunch and then back in. So I don't have food around me all day like I do at home. So it's really a great kind of diet technique for me. If you have an opportunity to do something like that near you, I highly recommend it. All right, so I just got the season passes. We've done this in the past many, many times, especially when my children were young. They're older now. But when they were little, years after years, we would get season passes because it's just, it's the number one amusement park in the world. So, so why not when it's within driving distance to your home? Okay, so day 2, here I am, doing my second day of loading, going, oh, this is the day I'm going to go back to the water park. I wanted a day to check out. It had been revamped, and I wanted to see it and know all about it because it was closing that week. So my kids weren't going to have an opportunity to go with me. They were back in school, and I thought, I'm just going to go relax, listen to a podcast, read some magazines, catch up with my People magazines. They're stacking up so high. Go in the water, go in the lazy river, catch some sun, just enjoy myself. And I did, and it was wonderful. But I took with me, one of my biggest weaknesses, and something that my husband knows is not permitted in the house while I'm on this diet, is Costco's pizza. I don't know what kind of cheese and they put on that pizza, but it's just to die for. It's my favorite pizza, and I will eat any pizza. I've never had a bad pizza. I don't know what bad pizza is. People say certain pizzas are bad pizzas. There is no way that you can combine bread and sauce and cheese and toppings and say it's bad, especially if there's sausage on it. Oh. So I had a combo, bought in my load days, a huge combo pizza, loaded with everything. And the slices are huge. Now, if you know a Costco pizza, it's Costco size pizza is Costco size everything. It's massive. So one slice of that is enormous. I brought 2 slices with me. I had a little something in the morning before going. I can't remember what it was, but I wasn't hungry at all, and I was in a rush, so I just grabbed something quick in my hand to eat on the way, in the car on the way there. And that went quick. I had 2 bags of potato chips and 2 large slices of pizza. And then I was going to be coming home, about 5 o'clock, and then planned on eating later. Now, this is day number 2. I knew it was going to be a little bit of a struggle to eat it because it was day 2. So the drops are now, I've had 3 doses of drops plus 1 in the morning. So that's 5 doses of drops. And 6 doses because it was later in the day that I went out there. I think I took the drops as part of my drive there. The first half of the drive, I think I had the drops in my mouth, and then I had a snack later, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. Nevertheless, I had 5 doses of drops in my system. I got there, I ate one of the pieces of pizza and one of the bags of chips, and that's all I could do. Hand to God, if anyone would tell me that I would not eat a second piece of Costco pizza, especially after not really eating anything else that day. And potato chips, my ultimate favorite snack. We don't have potato chips in here. I bought them to load because it's such a special treat. And I can open a bag of potato chips and finish a bag of potato chips easily, along with a piece of pizza. So that is my normal overindulgence, overeating habit that I'm normally in. Therefore, in my house, I typically do not bring in the kinds of foods I know I can't control myself around. So I could not eat that second. It almost made me want to gag to try to eat it. So this is what the drops do to you. That's a godsend. It really is a godsend, because when you're not loading and you're going on the very low calorie restrictive part of the diet and you're only eating 500 calories a day or thereabouts, we'll talk about that in another video, having the sensation of feeling full is important. These drops make it so that your stomach doesn't growl. All right. Again, another video, I'll talk about the difference between being hungry and wanting to eat. Very different things. But at least I was not hungry anymore for certain on the low days, and really didn't want to eat. Wasn't hungry and didn't want to eat, and was almost repulsed by food. I was able to come home and eat some more that evening. I can't recall what it was. It wasn't the pizza. By then I was done eating the pizza because I had so many pieces. I think I probably had 4 pieces the day before. And then that one that morning, I think it was over pizza. I didn't even want the chips, surprisingly, but I had eaten a good half of the bag the day before. And then that little baggie of them. And it was a large. Again, I got it from Costco. Big bag of sea salt kettle chips. So, yeah. And then something that evening, and then I was done. All right, so at the end of day 1, before I went to the water park, I wrote down here in my notes, so I have it in front of me. I had, okay, so I wake up day 2. All right, so I start the drops on Tuesday morning. All right, so Wednesday morning, day 2. I wake up, I had gained 3.2 pounds. That's not unusual. All right, that is not unusual. 3.2 pounds, it says. And then the day after that, I gained another 1.1. Now, normally I would gain another 2 or 3, or even 4 on my second day. But one, I couldn't eat as much food. I tried to pack in as much as I could, but I simply couldn't. I think the other reason I didn't gain as much, which is good. I mean, you're supposed to gain, so don't get me wrong. But I made sure that almost everything was fat related. So it wasn't sweets. I didn't have candies and cookies and all the stuff that's really sugar based. I did everything that was fat based, and that's the smartest way to load, to not make it sweet. Now, did I not have any sweets? No. I mean, I also had one of those Costco size bags of like the Chicago popcorn mix that has the cheese and the caramel with it. And quite frankly, I personally, at any time, prefer the cheese over the caramel. But it's kind of nice having that little sweet caramel every now and then. So I'll try to get as many handfuls of the cheese as possible, and then eat a couple caramel, then eat some together, and then eat as much cheese as I can. So the last quarter of the bag is usually just caramel corn that I give to my husband and son, who are happy to eat caramel corn. So I had a little bit of that every now and then. That tasted good, to have something sweet, but that was the extent of it, and I think that's a smart way to go about it. So yeah, so there's day 1, day 2. In total, I gained 4.3 pounds. Now, is that true poundage? No. That is, I think some water retention is happening at that point, because your body's kind of freaking out, going, what's going on? Why are we saving so much food right now? Some of it is actual fat gain, but I think a part of that also is sheer volume of food that's just in your body, in your stomach, in your intestines, that just hasn't made its way through yet. So you're just maintaining that. And nobody has ever, I've never seen in a video anyone ever talk about that. But that's the truth. Unless you're having an extra 3 or 4 bowel movements a day, which I didn't, you have extra food that hasn't made its way all through yet. So, okay, it's gross, but it's the truth. It is what it is. All right, so there we go. Day 1, day 2, I started the drops. You take them 3 times a day. And when I take the drops, I try to follow the regimen of not eating or drinking 30 minutes before or after. Or after. That's not always easy before, because I'll realize, oh, I really need to take the drops, and I had just taken a sip of something. But I'll be sure that I will not have eaten anything 30 minutes before. But I tend to drink a lot, and drinking is important when being on this diet, so that is a good thing to drink. Um, and so I'm not always really good about that. In fact, even in the morning, I wake up and the first thing I do is grab the drink next to my bed and take a sip and then go, I'm going to put the drops under my tongue first. But I'm really good about not having anything at least 30 minutes afterwards. So. All right, so there you go. That was day 1 and day 2. I did not keep track of every single calorie that I ate, but I would venture to guess that I was probably eating about 4,000 calories on the first day, between 4,000 and 5,000 calories, probably on day number 1. And on day number 2, I would say I probably ate closer to 2,000 to 3,000 calories in the end when I add it all together. Because I do remember I don't remember what it was, but I do remember having something for dinner that was significant, and then being able to go back one more time before the end of the day, saying, "Hey, it's my last hurrah." All right, so that's it. So that's day 1, day 2. That's loading. The drops I took 3 times a day, and I didn't take them, or tried not to, 30 minutes before or after eating. The drops go right under your tongue. They taste like grape. You just let them sit under your tongue so that, because they're sublingual, the intent is that the active ingredient in ACG is going to get into your bloodstream. It's the quickest way to get into your bloodstream, short of giving yourself the shots. So it's a very thin layer of skin above the blood vessels there under your tongue, and letting them sit in there allows it to soak right into it. So the longer you can keep them under your tongue, the better. Sometimes I'll keep them under there for 15 or 20 minutes until I just have to swallow. You know, eventually your mouth is going to start to produce a little bit of extra saliva, and then you just feel the need to swallow. So that's my goal when I take the drops. I put them under my tongue. I try to keep them there as long as I possibly can, but at least a minimum of 10 minutes, because then I know I have the maximum number of it getting directly to my bloodstream and not going into my stomach and having to go through the whole process of getting into my bloodstream. The drops are what are going to keep you from being hungry. They're going to keep you from your stomach growling and you having that sense of, I need to eat something. All right, they're the ones that, I mean, they do everything. They're the ingredients also that are trying to work into your fat or restores to break that down and use those for energy instead of food. But yeah, the drops are important, so definitely use them. Okay, this is longer than I wanted it to be. That's days 1 and 2 for you. Tomorrow I'll be back with days number 3 and 4. Goodbye. Good luck on your journey.